series of terror-related incidents in Jammu and Kashmir have raised concerns about the revival of the terror ecosystem in parts of the Union Territory that remained largely peaceful much of the last 2 decades. This last 1 week alone, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen back-to-back terror activities in the valley. Just yesterday, in a major blow to Pakistan's proxy terror, top Pak Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Usman was neutralized in an encounter with security forces at Khanyar of Srinagar. And today, a grenade attack took place near Lal Chowk in the heart of the city. This has sounded alarm bells over a new direction in the activities of some of these terror outfits. This also marks the 7th terror-related incident in Jammu and Kashmir after the formation of the new government post the successful conduct of the assembly elections in the Union Territory. And hence, we see some political parties in the valley link these incidents to the recently held elections. They've called it an attempt to destabilize the newly elected government. What's questionable, though, is the constant flip-flop on part of the likes of Farooq Abdullah on calling out Pakistan for its nefarious terror plots. From warning Pakistan on terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir right before elections in the Union Territory, to just 2 weeks ago saying Kashmir Pakistan nahi banega in the wake of terror attack on labourers working at a tunnel construction site in Gandarbal, to now saying you should not kill terrorists, you should capture them to find out about the real masterminds. We've heard it all. In fact, after today's grenade attack, we have once again heard it both from the National Conference and the Congress alleged conspiracy. While Congress calls it a conspiracy to disturb the atmosphere in Jammu and Kashmir, Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah says more needs to be done to strengthen the security apparatus in the valley. And all this even as top intel sources have revealed to CNN News 18 that today's grenade attack was in line with yet another desperate effort on part of a terror group to target locals and labourers. Sources have also said that the grenade attack was carried out in retaliation to the forces blocking a planned hartal in support of the slain Lashkar terrorist Usman, who they wanted to be remembered as a hero. But today, we once again see huge uproar on part of many in the National Conference and Congress who say an investigation must be carried out to identify who is responsible for these terror incidents without calling out Pakistan. Is Farooq Abdullah and his party once again going soft on terror? And what do we make of the several terror incidents that have taken place right after elections in Jammu and Kashmir? We take that up in this edition of the debate, but first, here's the story so far.
घटनाएं बढ़ गई हैं जब से चुनाव हुए और चुनी हुई सरकार बैठी है, और हम देख रहे हैं कि लगातार 5वां 6ठा हमला है।
प्रधानमंत्री मुख्यमंत्री जब थे खुद कहते थे कि अगर विदेश से पाकिस्तान से कोई घुस के आता है उसके लिए भारत सरकार जिम्मेदार है। तो आज आप जिम्मेदार हैं।
अगर क्या हमें मालूम करना चाहिए कौन इनके पीछे, कोई ऐसी एजेंसी तो पीछे नहीं है जो उमर अब्दुल्ला को डिस्टेबलाइज करना चाहिए।
भारत की ही सेना और सुरक्षा बलों पर सवाल उठाने के लिए कांग्रेस और उसका इकोसिस्टम तैयार हो जाता है।
And joining me on the broadcast are our experts this evening. We have SP with former DGP Jammu and Kashmir, along with Dashpreet Khadial, spokesperson of the Congress, and political analyst Savio Rodriguez, joining us this evening to take this forward in a very important conversation indeed. I want to first begin with Ashpreet. Ashpreet, while I do agree with suggestions coming in from the leaders of the Congress, the National Conference, as far as the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned and how more needs to be done, I want to understand where some of the Congress leaders are coming from, what their position is when they say there is a conspiracy at play here and all of this needs to be linked to the elections. Why is this being said?
Right. First and foremost, Mr. Amit Shah ought to resign because he had made a promise that post the abrogation of Article 370, terrorism would end. But we have seen it, back-to-back terror attacks have been happening, incidents have been happening, and therefore accountability ought to be fixed. Number two, how do we expect the Bharatiya Janata Party's government to do anything over such issues, because they gave a ticket to a person known by the name of Tariq Ahmad Mir in 2014, who was later on arrested by the NIA for procuring weapons for Hizbul Mujahideen commander Naveed Babu. They had an office bearer known by the name of Talib Hussain Shah, a senior office bearer who was Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist who was captured by the locals. They had another office bearer known by the name of Dhruv Saxena, who was found to have links with the ISI. Can we expect the Bharatiya Janata Party to do something over such matters when they've been having such people in their party at important positions, at important designations? And number two, Jammu and Kashmir is still a union territory. They haven't restored the statehood. Therefore, the law and order directly comes under the ambit of the Home Ministry. And because back-to-back attacks have been happening, Mr. Amit Shah ought to ensure that...
all of those are questions that perhaps Savio can respond to. But Ashpreet, you're not answering the first question I began with. Why is it that you've not called out Pakistan when a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist is eliminated in Srinagar itself in an encounter yesterday? Why are we talking about some conspiracy, how this is linked to elections, what's really going on? Why are we not calling a spade a spade? Why this hesitancy? Why this reluctance?
1 second, there is no hesitancy at all whatsoever. We demand...
Tell me one Congress leader who's blamed Pakistan for these terror incidents. One Congress leader. One Congress reaction that's come in just this week, Ashpreet.
I'll answer your question. Kindly allow me 30 seconds. Number one, we want a time-bound inquiry, whether it be Pakistan, whether it be any person, whoever is responsible for this should be brought to justice, should be given the most stringent of punishment. Number one. Number two, would the Bharatiya Janata Party give us lecture over this? Mr. Modi went to meet the then Prime Minister, Mr. Nawaz Sharif, to wish him birthday, to have Kashmiri chai with him, to have biryani with him. The Prime Minister of the very country because of whom because the soldiers of the Pakistan have been doing what not to our Jawans, and despite that, Mr. Modi decided to go there, meet him, and not just that, ISI was allowed to come into Pathankot Air Base by the Bharatiya Janata Party's government, and not just that, Mr. Satyapal Malik, the former governor, he had made very serious allegations against the Bharatiya Janata Party's government that the 40 CRPF Jawans back in the day that were martyred, they probably would have been alive if they had been given a plane that was asked for by them. And when he tried to tell the truth to the people, he was told to be quiet by the senior leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay, and what about several Congress leaders questioning the Balakot airstrikes? Why do we not see that being mentioned by you today? So the list is endless. Ashpreet, the list is endless, but we're not sticking to the main facts here. We're not talking about what really needs to be addressed, what's being brought on the table, and what I'm seeking an answer from you on. But I want to go across to Niloufar as well. I'll come back to you in just a bit, perhaps after Savio responds to all of those all of those points raised by you through the course of whatever you've said so far. But Niloufar, I want to understand from you, when Omar Abdullah, after the grenade attack that took place today, says that security apparatus must do everything to check the spot and terror incidents, 100% correct. He's absolutely right in highlighting the same, and Ashpreet has given us a little bit of a brief already on how the Lieutenant Governor, is in charge of law and order, so on and so forth in the Union Territory. But before that, tell me a little about what Farooq Abdullah means when he says do not neutralize the terrorists, do not kill them, apprehend them, so we understand who really the mastermind is. As far as yesterday's encounter is concerned, we know the mastermind is a man called Usman. He's from Lashkar-e-Taiba, goes back to Pakistan. A clear Pakistan role is out in the open, and yet we see Farooq Abdullah talk about the role of some agencies. Why? Isn't he going soft on terror? Isn't he giving a clean chit to Pakistan once again?
See, nobody is going soft on the terror. In fact, the grenade attack in the heart of the state that needs to be condemned, and that too has taken place at the Shopper Street. this is very unfortunate and it should be condemned in one voice. But the law and order and security apparatus that is lying with the center and the LG, so they need to see why there is spike after the restoration of the democracy. Because recently you have seen within 15 days we are all having the headlines with respect to the terror attack taking place at one place than at another place. So it is a matter of concern which needs to be looked into very seriously, and we believe that there can be no justification for targeting the innocent people. We want that since everybody knows that these who are coming and attacking the innocent people, they do not come by way of the parachute. Actually, we need to see who are the people, what is the local help which they are getting. For that purpose, just to see who are the people who are conspirating.
Nobody in their right mind, Nilofer, can come out with this kind of a suggestion. Imagine a gun battle is raging between security forces and some of these terrorists that are in hiding, and somebody saying, do not kill them, capture them, apprehend them, so that there's a loss of life on your end. I mean, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
When a person is killed, he in fact the conspiracy vision within his heart, or he had been the part of that conspiracy, or he is being just a tool in the hands of those people who are still alive. We need to know about that. Who are the actual people who are
but
using
which
these
agencies is Farooq Abdullah talking about? Nilofer, which agency is he talking about? Whose role is he suspecting here? Why is he not saying there's a clear Pakistan role when we do know about the antecedents of some of these terrorists?
He has already said some days back that talks and terror that cannot go together.
So how from talks can terror can't go hand in hand, and Kashmir, Pakistan nahi banega? How does it come to this? What explains these constant flip-flops is what I'm asking you, Nilofer.
There is no flip-flop. I don't know why his statement is taken and the other way. In fact, he's very clear in his statement. He has already said terror and talks cannot go together. We have to make that environment where the talks can take place. He has already said it. But the thing is, we have to see after the restoration of the democracy why there is spike. There may be some people within the UT who don't want or who never wanted there should be restoration of the democracy in the UT. So just to see,
absolutely, and instead of finding out all of those important answers, instead of perhaps uniting against a serious concern such as terror, we see this kind of political mudslinging. That's the exact point I'm trying to make.
We are all united in the same cause. We want that this spike should stop somewhere. We want peace. We want all the hurdles which have been created in all these 10 years. There is no common life. We want that to restore. For restoring that, we don't want any disturbance. So why there is spike in last 15 days after the restoration of democracy, that needs to be seen. And who are the people within the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir who are helping them out? They are not coming through by way of parachute from any place.
Okay, you've had your say, Nilofer. I'll come back to you as well. Savio, I'll read out what Farooq Abdullah said verbatim, and you can tell me if that's what you make of what he'd said. If you do agree with what Nilofer is saying, or if you have an own interpretation that you want to put forward for all of us this evening. He said we should check if there is an agency that is trying to destabilize Omar Abdullah. He questioned if the increase in terror attacks were to destabilize the J&K government. What do you make of what he said? Is he today standing with our forces? Is he condemning the Pakistan role? That's very, very clear for everyone to see here. What exactly is he doing here?
Farooq Abdullah, in his wisdom, is alluding to a very important aspect. And let me state it to all our panelists out here. Jammu and Kashmir and the situation that arises out of terrorism is not a problem of a political party. It's a problem of the country. And what you're looking at is us trying to collectively find a solution to the problem rather than getting into the politics of it. So when you're looking at an agency that Farooq Abdullah is talking about, as far as the increase or the spike in terror activities happening in Kashmir right now, there could certainly be an agency involved in it. An agency that is a foreign agency that supports and promotes terrorism. You have to look at the larger picture. What is the larger picture happening out here? You have Jammu and Kashmir that has seen the beautiful aspect of democracy coming into play. It is this that has irritated the enemies of India that want to create instability. It is not to overthrow the Omar Abdullah government. Please understand that Kashmir has got a larger role to play in the entire situation as far as India is concerned, because Kashmir is an integral part of India. So a terror activity or the overthrowing of a government in Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir, is an impact to the whole of India. Therefore, we have to look at the larger issue out here. The larger issue here is terrorism and the increase in terror activities ever since India started to stamp itself over the last couple of months on various issues internationally, including the BRICS, which happened recently. The point is this: what is it that can destabilize India? And Kashmir is just one aspect that they're looking at. There are certain aspects that people are looking at in Northeast as well. What destabilizes India? When you
there
pick
has
up
to be
states,
agreement today, this evening, on the fact that there's lots more that needs to be done, Savio. One can't just get away by saying that, this is a clear Pak role and hence Pakistan is to be solely blamed. We need to strengthen our security apparatus, because right through the elections in Jammu and Kashmir, we saw how peaceful this entire process had been. We also saw the same areas that are coming under attack by some of these terrorists, saw a lot of campaigning day in and out. In fact, late in the evening, we saw some of these candidates campaigning on the same streets. So why is it that these streets have suddenly become unsafe? That's a question. That's a valid question that needs to be asked today.
Of course, that's a valid question. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. What you have happened in Jammu and Kashmir is the establishment of democracy. And people do not want Jammu and Kashmir to be peaceful. And when Farooq Abdullah is talking about an agency that needs to be investigated, I think he's alluring more to a foreign agency, and there is certainly a foreign hand in it. Now, the question is, have the Indian government and the apparatus that we have right now been able to deal with the terror threats? That is something that is lacking right now. And therefore, we need to up the ante as far as understanding where this terrorism is originating from and why is it happening now. It is clear to destabilize Kashmir. Destabilizing Kashmir is destabilizing India. It's as simple as that. So the point is, how do we look at it collectively? It is not about Congress or NC or any other political party. It's about us as Indians dealing with the problem of terrorism emanating out of Kashmir.
The problem arises when we're not calling out the enemy for the nefarious designs that they're being able to pull off on our land, in our territory. If we're not being able to call a spade, then there is a problem that needs to be addressed, and that's not being done really. Because in the past and in the recent past, we've seen Farooq Abdullah actually slam Pakistan. We've seen Farooq Abdullah gun for Pakistan and say that Jammu and Kashmir Pakistan nahi banega. What stops him now? Why is he speaking of a certain agencies? Why is he speaking of how some of these terrorists should not be gunned down, rather should be apprehended? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Well, okay. That is the bit of Farooq Abdullah I don't agree with. We had an Ajmal Kasam who was kept in jail and 50 crores was spent on him, and we've got very little information out of him. The point is, every terrorist needs to be dealt with in the manner in which terrorists need to be dealt with.
Okay, all right.
Which is to put a bullet into their heads. But the point is this: what is the concern that the people of Kashmir have right now? The people of Kashmir were moving towards socio-economic progress. That is what democracy is all about. That's why you had the NC government come in, because the people voted the NC government. So this is not an attack on Omar Abdullah. Farooq Abdullah needs to understand this is an attack on India. And therefore, we have to look at it collectively and find a solution collectively. Nobody wants to destabilize the Kashmir government. What is there in play is destabilizing of India.
Besides, we've seen, an Omar Abdullah, after taking oath as Chief Minister, pretty much in agreement to what the central leadership has maintained as far as restoration of statehood is concerned. And there's been a little bit of calm on that front. So not quite sure if there's anything for anybody to worry about here, really. But SP Veggie, I want to come to you next. That said, given the political exchanges that we've witnessed already in the wake of these terror incidents that continue to come to light almost on a daily basis now, this last 1 week we've seen non-stop terror attacks, and now just today, a grenade attack in Srinagar. There seems to be lack of some intelligence grid as is being questioned at the moment. There's more that needs to be done surely. What explains the current scenario? Because up until elections, yes, we did see a change in pattern as far as these terrorists are concerned, with them targeting Rajouri, Poonch, Jammu division. So they were moving away from, the mainline mainstream Kashmir Valley to some of these pockets, and now a place like Srinagar, which has not seen as many terror incidents the last few years.
Yes, Kiswan, good evening. In fact, I tend to agree with our co-panelist, Mr. Savio, how vividly he has described what actually is the fact. And we must understand that. See, to call it intelligence failure, it would be too simplifying the problem. We must understand how Pakistan deep state is changing the tactics. You saw it before the elections, how there was a sudden spurt in Jammu region. It initially started about 2 years back from Rajouri Poonch. Then, if you recall, the day Honorable Prime Minister and his cabinet was taking oath for the third term, there was an attack on the Yatri bus coming from Shibkhodi in district Riyasi. And after that, a lot of attacks in Jammu region, whether it was Kathua, Hiranagar, Pilawar, Udhampur, Doda, and all these places. And there was a lot of, worry about sudden spurt in Jammu region. But then Government of India immediately reacted, and the security gaps which were there, which Pakistan was taking advantage, was actually taken care of. And then you saw how elections went off incident-free. But as Mr. Savio was mentioning, Pakistan deep state will find it very difficult to digest the way 60-65% polling was there without any sense of fear, which was in the minds of people for the last 30 years. And you saw how successful the parliament and assembly elections were.
Yeah.
Now, coming to your statement, it is definitely a serious challenge for the police.
But Mr. Espingar, there should be consensus on the panel here tonight with regards to the fact that, anytime there is semblance of peace in the valley, there's going to be this concerted effort to destabilize Jammu and Kashmir. We saw it after Lok Sabha elections as far as some of those terror incidents are concerned towards the Jammu area, the pilgrimage bus that was attacked in Riyasi, and we're seeing it now once again. So there should be consensus on that.
So I'm coming to that. I'm coming to the point. While it is a serious challenge to the local police and the local SOG, it is primarily their responsibility to find out who are the people behind this, because intelligence network, the local police has much better system than army or the CAPF. But coming to Dr. Farooq Abdullah's statement that which agency is behind it, who is conspiring against it. Now tell me, when this spurt happened attack happened on that Yatri bus in Riyasi, who was the agency? And who was behind this? The very same forces. There is conspiracy from Pakistan's deep state, and there is an agency which is known as ISI, which is behind it. Same agency and same forces are operating now also. Again, what was operating before the parliament election. So let's not do mudslinging and also play politics on these issues. I think this is a time when Umar Abdullah government must stand united with the Lieutenant Governor and the unified command. I think we must take advantage of whatever good work has been done in last 4 or 5 years, and improvement in situation in Kashmir has been brought about. I think we should cash upon. Ultimately, it will benefit the elected government if things improve even further. So here is a time then when all these, both the elected government and the Lieutenant Governor, who is directly monitoring the unified command, must stand together and fight together and call out Pakistan's plan.
Okay, you're telling us something that we must begin with. It's a common enemy, so let's keep our approach at that. But Arshpreet, I also want to quickly talk a little bit about what Tariq Hamid Kara, the state Congress chief, said when he seemed to suggest that why this is a conspiracy is because the BJP, the central leadership, in a way wants to ensure that there's dual control in Jammu and Kashmir, which means that he's trying to hint at the fact that he's not quite in belief that the BJP is going to let the statehood return to Jammu and Kashmir. Is that the sense in the Congress party? Is why the Congress is sort of talking about these fears and saying that there's much more than what meets the eye?
Well, you have attributed this statement of one leader to the entire party. If that's how
but he's your state Congress chief, Arshpreet. He's the state chief.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm coming to it. Do that. Please do that. But at the same time, when I talk of a Tariq Ahmed Mir, a Talib Hussain Shah, a Dhruv Saxena, which have the people that I've talked of before, some having links with ISI, some having links with Lashkar-e-Taiba, some with Hizbul Mujahideen commander, etc. Why does it never get attributed to the Bharatiya Janata Party is the question that I really want to ask. Number two, how serious the Bharatiya Janata Party's government is over these terror attacks which are happening back to back could be seen by one simple thing. You yourself said at the starting there have been 7 terror attacks that have been witnessed recently. Yeah. When was the last time Mr. Modi spoke over this matter? Out of all these 7 terror attacks, did Mr. Modi even speak on one single terror attack? One single attack? In the last 5 years, how many visits has Mr. Modi had in the valley?
And you're asking this while we've not heard Rahul Gandhi or anyone from the Congress top brass also respond.
Mr. Gandhi the Prime Minister? Is Mr. Gandhi the Prime Minister? Or is it Mr. Modi?
Okay. Okay. Before I let Savio respond to that, and he perhaps can come in on what he thinks about your question. I also want to talk about, since you spoke about the equation that some in the BJP enjoy with the Pak leadership. I want to talk about the Sharm El Sheikh Agreement 2009, and it said action on terrorism should not be linked to the composite dialogue process, and these should not be bracketed. And this was Manmohan Singh, the then Prime Minister, with Pak Prime Minister Gilani. Would you want to comment on that, since you were the one who was talking about the BJP stance here with Pakistan?
Well, number one, on one hand, we are talking about Mr. Modi going unannounced to wish happy birthday to the then Prime Minister, Mr. Nawaz Sharif. And on the other hand, you're trying to compare it with this. Apples and oranges don't go hand in hand. Number two, the question here is that terror attack in Budgam, Kathua, Doda, Kulgam, Srinagar, and many more. Why has the Prime Minister not spoken about this matter?
Okay, so I'm running out of time. 30 seconds to Savio. I need to quickly wrap up. Savio, 30 seconds.
Well, it's very interesting that the so-called gentleman talks about the BJP. I would like to ask him what was Rahul Gandhi doing with Ilhan Omar in the US, who's known to be a sympathizer of terrorists. Can I ask you the same question? So let's go on.
Savio, I unfortunately don't have that much time, and I have a couple of similar questions for the National Conference representative as well. And the number of times the NC has gone soft on Pakistan, so this is going to be endless, and perhaps we're going to have to take it up on another day. Thank you so much, gentlemen and Nilofer, for joining us this evening. That's all the time we have.